Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today we have a bunch of Steelers news and rumors to discuss here on a Victory Monday, our first Victory Monday here on Steelers Talk this year. First up on today's show, we are going to be talking about Colin Cowherd changing his tune on Aaron Rodgers, sounding pretty positive about the new Steelers starting quarterback after trashing him all offseason long. Then we'll talk about more Week 1 takeaways from yesterday's win versus the Jets after now I've had the time to go over the All-22 film. Then we'll get into Jabrill Peppers, where he hints he may be signing with the team soon. Could he be signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Then we'll go over some other free agency targets at some potential positions of need that the Steelers can still add to and some of the options at the Steelers' disposal after their Week 1 win versus the Jets. Before we get into the content today, guys, if you want to be sitting here next week on a Victory Monday and you want to be sitting here next week at 2-0, don't jinx it. Click that thumbs up icon to help the Steelers win, and also it helps out our channel, so it's an added bonus there. All right, so now let's get into our first segment of the day here on Steelers News and Rumors, which is that Colin Cowherd, who has been trashing the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers all offseason long, not even he could be overly negative about Aaron Rodgers' Steelers debut versus the New York Jets. And he seems to finally be catching on to why the Steelers were attracted to Rodgers as a quarterback option for them this season. This is what Colin had to say in his post-game reaction show yesterday on his YouTube channel. It's interesting with Aaron. He's a statue. He got sacked 4 times, but I think his mindset with this team is, quote, listen, I'm going to be the distributor. He's going to be a little Chris Paul. He's going to be tough. He's occasionally going to make a great shot, but by and large, he's going to distribute and lead. But there is something about guidance and leadership and distribution considering his immobility and his first game. Aaron's mindset, he said this, quote, I am here to elevate others, unquote, and that I'm impressed with. So if Colin Cowherd, who has been trashing this move, saying it's a terrible move by the Pittsburgh Steelers, why would Aaron Rodgers want to go to the Steelers? He said that if he were Aaron Rodgers, he'd rather go to the New York freaking Jets for some reason this offseason. But this is what I've been saying for months, man. Of course Aaron Rodgers is not the crazy playmaker that he was back in his prime, but he still has all the tools to be that quote-unquote distributor type of quarterback. And, I think that somebody that played this role for the longest time in the National Football League was Tom Brady. Tom Brady was never an out-of-structure playmaker, and he was always an immobile distributor-type quarterback. And if there's anybody that can replicate the kind of success that Brady had as kind of a pure pocket passer, it's Aaron Rodgers with his elite mind for the game of football. It's with his great arm talent. It's with his quick release. It's with his great pocket presence. All those things that Brady had, Rodgers also has, even at age 41 at this point. So people keep talking about, oh, Rodgers can't move, Rodgers can't move. Well, guess what? Tom Brady couldn't move for 20-plus years, and he won 7 Super Bowls, which is more than any other team in NFL history, okay? So this kind of quarterback can absolutely win a Super Bowl. And some of the principles of playing like a Tom Brady is stuff like this, all right? When we've talked about this on the show before, you live in the pocket. You don't really try and create out of structure all that much. You play with elite processing and get the ball out quickly. You protect the football, and you play efficiently. You take checkdowns. You take screen passes. You get the ball out of your hands quickly so you don't take too many sacks. And then when the defense gives you opportunities to throw down the field and quickly, you take advantage of that. Does that sound familiar, Steelers fans? That is exactly the way Aaron Rodgers played in Week 1 versus the Jets. He was number 1 in average time to throw, and he was also, I think he was like 29th in average depth of target. So he's not really, he's being very strategic with when he takes his shots downfield, and he's getting the ball out quickly to try and minimize the amount of negative plays that the offense takes. Guess what, guys? Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in his 40s with a new football team. In fact, in the first year with a new team, in that role as a distributor, as somebody that can get the ball out fast, as somebody that is very strategic with when he takes his shots down the field. Now, obviously, Brady had a lot of help there in Tampa Bay, had a good defense. He had some really good weapons. Bruce Arians was his head coach. All these things, certainly worked in his favor, and Aaron Rodgers will certainly need help here in Pittsburgh to win a 7th Lombardi trophy for the black and gold. But, if Tom Brady was able to play this role into his 40s and win a Lombardi trophy, there's no reason, in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers can't do the same thing if he gets the same amount of help. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Can Pittsburgh win the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers as their QB1 this year? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section. For me, this is an emphatic yes, but this will be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Prize Picks. While I'm talking about Prize Picks today, let me know your opinion down there in the comment section. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And you and I, we both make decisions every single day. But on Prize Picks, being right on those decisions can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Football season is finally here, and you better believe I'm going to be getting my Prize Picks lineups in all season long. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks also puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And a new feature from Prize Picks that I absolutely love is injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks will not count it as a loss. So Monday Night Football tonight, Bears versus Vikings. I'm taking the less on Caleb Williams passing yards. I'm taking the more on passing touchdowns for J.J. McCarthy. And why not? Let's throw that touchdown to Justin Jefferson. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup with the Prize Picks app today. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup on the Prize Picks app today. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, so now I do have some more Week 1 takeaways here after watching the All-22 film. A lot of the things that I thought about and that I've talked about on our other post-game shows, our 2 post-game cuts we put out yesterday, still apply, but there is still a couple of little notes here that I do want to present to you guys here on today's show. The first one here that I want to talk about is how they utilized their weapons, which was really interesting, all right? I kind of thought that they were going to, when they went out in their kind of 3 receiver sets, they would have Roman Wilson out there a little bit more. But no, man, they really used Jonnu Smith as kind of that third wide receiver type. They were putting him in the slot. They were really using him as a manufactured touch weapon out there. And, you know, Roman did get some time out there. Ben Skoranek also got a little bit of time there. But, you know, Calvin Austin definitely outsnapped both of those other kind of backup type of receivers. He certainly appears to be this team's legit number 2 receiver. And honestly, it seems like Roman's role heading into this year is as a wide receiver 4, even a wide receiver 5. Like with the way Ben Skoranek played as a blocker, with the way that he had that touchdown on the opening drive against the Jets, it would not surprise me at all if Aaron Rodgers advocates for Ben to get even more time over Roman Wilson, especially if his level of trust with Ben is higher than what it is with Roman at this point. So hopefully Roman's able to turn it around. He didn't have a single target, no catches, no yards, no touchdowns, nothing, no production from him as a receiver in Week 1. We're hoping that as the season goes on, he continues to get more and more of a role in this offense, but it certainly seems like he's down the totem pole at this point in time. Then we get into why I believe Pittsburgh's passing attack worked with Aaron Rodgers, and specifically the play-action game. Aaron Rodgers threw 3 of his touchdown passes on play-action, and then the other one, of course, was a pop pass. So, you know, obviously lots of success throwing the ball down the field when Rodgers did throw the ball down the field off of play-action. And the first reason why that strategy worked is because Pittsburgh took advantage of Glenn's aggression, okay? Aaron Glenn, something you guys got to know about him is that his run defenses in Detroit have been really good over the last several seasons, but the passing defenses have been some of the worst in the National Football League. The reason for that is he teaches his defenses to be super aggressive to play the run. So they're super susceptible to play action, okay? And Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, of course, Arthur Smith want to do a lot of play action from under center. That's what they did yesterday. Sometimes it ended up in a sack because Broderick Jones can't block to save his life. But when Rodgers had a clean pocket from that play action, I mean, it was absolute magic. So, and then the other reason why this worked and why the passing game was so good is because Rodgers is so good at finding the open man, all right? With Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, they were so dependent on their first read. They were either first read to run or they were first read to check down so often. So defenses could really hone in on really George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, the guys that were usually the first reads in the progression, and it just led to a lot of stagnation from the Steelers offense. But now we have a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that sees the entire field. All right, you can see him as he drops back. He's just scanning the field, looking for the right option. He knows how to pick apart defenses, and, you know, defenses have to cover the entire field against Aaron Rodgers. So the entire field is open to you. You got a bunch of different options available to you in the passing game, which was not available to the Steelers last year, which is exactly why 7 different Steelers caught passes from Aaron Rodgers yesterday, including Ben Skoranek, who had a touchdown pass. All right, Rodgers doesn't really have like a number one read, and then he's getting off of it, and he's trying to go to his check down immediately. No, he has a concept. He reads the defense, and then he sees the open receiver and throws it to him. All right, that is what elite quarterbacks do, and that is what Aaron Rodgers did to the New York Jets yesterday, and it's going to be tough for defenses to stop all season long. Another thing that I took away from watching the film here is that Pittsburgh should make a big adjustment on the defensive line. Just plain and simply, guys, Keanu Benton is not a nose tackle. If you're going to be asking Keanu Benton to take on double teams, to play with good pad level, and kind of hold firm the run fit there, he's not going to do it. All right, he was on the ground a ton yesterday. He was driven backwards time and time and time again on those double teams. It was very clear that Tanner Engstrand, the offensive coordinator for the Jets, identified Keanu Benton as a weakness on the Steelers' defensive line, and they exploited it. All right, so Keanu, I think, has become a little bit of a liability on early downs for the Pittsburgh Steelers as a run defender, and he's just not a nose tackle. The Steelers have to stop using him in that way. What Benton does well is that he is a disruptor, so they got to put him in a position to shoot gaps, not take on double teams, because that's not what he does. But, I'm not even joking about this right now, guys. I know that, Benton's been in this defense for longer and all that stuff, and Y.A. Black's a rookie, but Y.A. Black's skill set fits that role in the Steelers defense better, so he should get the start. I think he's shown enough in the preseason games, and he showed enough yesterday as a run defender for me to feel comfortable putting him in the middle of this defense, asking him to two-gap, asking him to take on double teams, asking him to kind of maintain the structure of the line of scrimmage there and not give any weight there. He's 340 pounds, all right? He's called the big tummy for a reason, all right? Use him as a run defender in that way, and then allow Keanu Benton to do what he does best. I mean, the thing that I loved about him coming out of Wisconsin was that he could shoot gaps, he could get big TFLs, he could make sacks happen, but if you put him in the middle of the defense as the nose tackle and he's getting a bunch of double teams, he's just not getting a ton of opportunities to be him. And I think that he's being played out of position by the Steelers coaching staff right now. And, it's just perfect that the Steelers happened to draft a perfect nose tackle for this team to allow them to use Benton more often. So that's what I would do if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wouldn't play Benton at the nose tackle any longer because, frankly, he's become a liability at that spot. Then the final takeaway here that I'll share with you guys today is that I thought Mason McCormick had a good game. And, I'll also give an honorable mention here to Troy Fautanu. The right side of the Steelers offensive line yesterday, in my opinion, was pretty darn good, especially in pass protection. Broderick Jones was really the biggest concern and issue with the Steelers offensive line yesterday, and he was certainly the weakest link. And you're only as strong as your weakest link, by the way. But McCormick, I think, might have been Pittsburgh's best overall offensive lineman week one. I think that he has taken a really big step forward. Aaron Rodgers has been super complimentary of him all training camp long. And I love McCormick's skill set coming out of South Dakota State. I had a third-round grade on him. And to see his development from year one to year two so far has been awesome to see. I'm really hoping that he can keep it up because he certainly looks like a full-time starter here in Pittsburgh. So coming up next here on Steelers Talk, we're going to talk about Jabrill Peppers and some other free agent options for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they want to add somebody here before their week two matchup with the Seattle Seahawks at home. But before we get into the rest of today's show, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you are enjoying our in-depth content here. We provide you guys in-depth videos on the Steelers like this every single day. We usually put out 2 videos a day, one in the morning, one during the evening. And if you guys want daily Steelers videos for free, weekly live shows, we go live twice a week as well as go live for every single Steelers game on our live watch parties. And, of course, every time Omar Khan makes a big move, we go live with our breaking news coverage. So make sure you guys join the over 92,000 subscribers after we added about 2,000 subscribers on our watch party here over the weekend. So we're getting closer, guys, to 100,000 subscribers. We're well on our way to hitting that mark during this season. Help us get there right now by clicking that subscribe button. So Jabrill Peppers earlier today tweeted this out saying, crazy how life work, with the little praying hands there. A lot of people are taking this to mean that he's going on a visit somewhere or he's going somewhere to sign a contract. And there's a lot of people in the comment section there with Jabrill saying, are you going to the Steelers? All this different stuff, of course, because Deshaun Elliott, the starting strong safety for the Steelers, got injured yesterday versus the New York Jets. And we still honestly don't know what his status is at this point. I'm sure we'll get an update from Mike Tomlin tomorrow during his weekly press conference. So Jabrill Peppers would be an awesome addition. I talked about it on yesterday's show, so I won't go too in-depth on Jabrill, but he can certainly bring a lot to this defense as a strong safety, bigger type of guy. Great run defender, great tackler, fits the identity of this Steelers defense like a glove. So if this Deshaun Elliott injury is a serious one, I would be on the phone with Jabrill Peppers getting him in here as soon as possible. But some other free agent safeties to consider. There's still some decent options that with a lot of starting experience. Justin Simmons is still out there, even though he's more of a true free safety. Marcus Williams had a really bad season last year, and the Steelers brought in Chuck Clark over him during the training camp, but the Steelers have shown some interest in Marcus already this year. And then Jordan Whitehead, Jordan Poyer, who, by the way, is ayahuasca buddies with Aaron Rodgers. They've gone on ayahuasca trips together, so keep your eye on Poyer if they're looking to add a safety. And then Marcus May, another former starter, to keep your eye on as well. But some other positions that the Steelers could, in theory, target if they want to. Offensive tackle, if they find someone that they like. Wide receiver, of course, we talked quite a bit about wide receiver leading up to the season. On the nose tackle, if they really do move Keanu Benson away from the nose tackle and say they put Y.A. Black there as the starting nose, then you need a backup nose in that case. You could technically put Daniel Ekuale there, but you could also go out and get some other nose tackle help if you want. So let's just go over these positions one at a time here. I would say the top free agent offensive tackles, there's not many out there, guys. Isaiah Wynn has got a lot of starting experience. He's not very good. And then David Bakhtiari has been trying to get back in the National Football League for multiple seasons now. No team has bitten, but if there's any team that might bite, it might be Aaron Rodgers' team, all right, because he was his left tackle for many seasons. They're good friends, all that different stuff. So never say never is what I'll say to that. But then you get to the wide receivers, the top receivers for the Steelers to consider if they want to add somebody to this group. Seems like they're okay with the formation and kind of the lineup that they've got. Seems like they like DK. They certainly like Calvin. They like Jonnu as kind of that in-between piece, so to speak, that big slot kind of guy. But then, if you want to go out and get Odell Beckham Jr., who's friends with Aaron Rodgers, you could do that. DJ Chark could be a backup to DK Metcalf as a decent backup X receiver. Same thing with Nelson Aguilar, who's been a rotational piece with Baltimore for many seasons, and Tyler Boyd, a Pittsburgh native, another guy that you can consider as well. But none of those guys are going to be needle movers. And then you get to the nose tackle position. Montravius Adams was let go by the Bengals this year, so he's available if you want to bring him back. I like the way Montravius plays the game. He's not the best player in the world, but he certainly gives high effort. Raekwon Davis, big boy, 325 pounds. You could potentially go get him. And then Linval Joseph, definitely up there in age, but he's been a starting nose tackle in this league for a long time. So if he wants to come play backup nose tackle for the Steelers, I certainly wouldn't say no to that on a veteran minimum contract. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Which free agent or free agents do you want Pittsburgh to target after week 1 heading into week 2? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. If I'm picking one guy, it's pretty easy, guys. I'm going and getting Jabrill Peppers, especially if that Deshaun Elliott injury is serious. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Now, before I go here, I do want to recap what happened in week 1 around the AFC North. Of course, the Steelers ended up beating the New York Jets, so the Steelers are 1-0. But then you have the Bengals playing the Browns, and once again, Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, and that Bengals team looked bad against the Cleveland Browns of all teams. Now, they were on the road, all this different stuff, week 1 game, but the Bengals played a lot of their starters in the preseason to try and mitigate kind of the early season struggles. Doesn't seem like it worked, man, because they went right down to the wire, and the Browns had a missed kick late. If they make that, Joe Burrow and the Bengals probably lose week 1 yet again. So the Browns are the Browns. They suck. But the fact that the Bengals only won by 1 point there certainly indicates that the Bengals might not be very good this season either. But then really the game of the week, I mean, if you would have asked me if there was any game this week that would have been better than the 34-32 shootout that the Steelers and Jets had, I would say no way. But then, of course, the two leading MVP candidates last year, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, duel it out. The Bills with an incredible comeback in the final 4 minutes of the game, which is obviously good news if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, because that means the Ravens gave away a win, which of course increases the chances the Steelers could potentially upset the Ravens and be crowned AFC North champions here in 2025. All right, that'll be it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by here today. We're going to have more Steelers talk coverage for you guys tomorrow, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, here we go, Steelers.